we go. Good evening, everyone. Baruch Hashem, Likutey Moharan, Derech Hafalef. We are holding in Seif Hey, number 5. So after we explained and re-explained Baruch Hashem, and went Baruch Hashem over this a few times, that when a person is fortunate enough to sanctify Shiva Saneres, the seven candles, which is the mouth, the nose, ears, and the eyes, he is able to bring down a bchina of Shefa Eloki, which is a divine bounty. And Rabbeinu brings here 7 different kinds of sevens, 7 sevens. It starts with the 7 candles, and these 7 candles have, this 7 has 7 manifestations. The second one is, we said that this is a bechina of Sukkah. And when Rabbeinu says the 7 of the bechina Sukkah, here Rabbeinu already calls it that Shefa Eloki, that divine bounty. Now Rabbeinu calls it Ruach HaKodesh, which is a Ruach Chochmah, a das that comes from Kodesh. And that particular das that comes from Kodesh is the reason why a person comes into this world, in order to bring about this Shefa Eloki, and ultimately, when a person leaves this world, he's going back to that source of the Shefa Eloki, which is called Orapanim, called Pnei HaMenorah. And so Mimela, we will have, the first one is the Shiva Saneres, the second one is the Bchina Sukkah. Now we're going to the third one, which is Shiva Simei Mishter. And Lo Aleinu, the Shiva Simei Avelos. They all start basically with the same thing. And we will touch upon the fact that there's a very deep nekuda that by us, vis-a-vis where we are, the way we see things, the way that we perceive things, the Shiva Simei Mishter, which is, the Sheva Brachos is the 7 days after a wedding. This is Kiddushin, there's a Chuppah. Chuppah is Bchina Sukkah, as Rabbeinu will say. And we have Shiva Simei Mishter, that's the happiest time there is, right? And then Lo Aleinu V'Lo Aleichem, we're talking about Shiva Simei Avelos. Later on, Rabbeinu speaks about Miriam, about that being that she was paigim in the kvod of Moshe, that was zeicha to kedusha of Shiva Saneres perfectly. She got leprosy, she got saras, and Kodesh Baruch Hu says, let us spend 7 days outside of the Machana. 7 days out of all the three different machanos of Am Yisrael, so Machne Shechino, Machne Levaya, and Machne Yisrael. So, I mean, there's Machne Shechina is on the Kohanim, Machne Levia, the Levim can be there. Machne Yisrael is everything around it, and the Mitzayro, the leper has to be somebody who is poigim in the Koved Eloki, in the Koved Moshe Rabbeinu Zechet to Koved Eloki, has to go outside of all the three machas for 7 days. So we see here we see another manifestation for 7 days. So it seems that these two issues of Shiva Simei Mishta and Shiva Simei Velos, La Aleinu V'La Aleichem, are a total opposite of one another, right? I mean, one is the opposite of the other. But this is only in the staklos of this world. As they says, Bayom Oi Hashem Echad Shmo Echad. This is how we finish, right? This is what is the Gemara says. What is Bayom Oi Hashem Echad Shmo Echad? So the Gemara says what? And today is not one. So the Gemara says today on Seres Tevis we say Atova Meitim. And La'asid Lavai in the future, and Seres Chas V'Chalila that are not that great, we say Dayan Emes. He says La'asid Lavai, everything is going to be Tova Meitim. The thing that we need to understand about this, the deep point that we need to understand about this, is that La'asid Lavai means that's the point of view of Orapanim. That's the point of view of Pnei Menorah. That's the point of view of that's what Rabbeinu says in the previous Siman, when he talks about Sukkah, when he talks about choice, free choice. So Rabbeinu is saying that when it comes to free choice, he says that there is, this confounded thing that confounds this paradox that confound us, like the fact that the Kodesh Baruch Hu knows everything that you will do in advance, and that does not disallow the fact that you have a free choice to do whatever it is that you want to do. Because logically, these are two contradicting things. So many have attempted to explain, the contradiction, the paradox, and ultimately they all got to the point where they're saying, ultimately this is not explainable because whatever it is, our thought and the Kadosh Baruch Hu's thoughts are not on the same level. Basically, meaning to say, in a certain way, that our thought processes, our understanding, our definitions, our defining things, understanding things, and so forth and so on. Just 1 second. Ultimately, is that the easiest way to put it is that our brains have an operating system, like a computer has an operating system, and our operating system, our mental operating system, B'chinas Ochar, is logic. That which a seichel enushi, like a human mind, can comprehend. Okay? Kadosh Baruch Hu is the one who created that operating system. Kadosh Baruch Hu is beyond that operating system. In our operating system, the omniscience of a Kadosh Baruch Hu and our free choice contradict one another. But the man of Kadosh Baruch Hu, which is beyond our pay grade, is beyond outside that particular system. That system is limited in order to enable us to be here. So eventually, everybody that tried to explain that particular paradox came to the point where, okay, we explained as much as we could, but this is it. I mean, we can't explain anymore. I mean, this is it. There's no. Lo machshava like Mosheichem, but machshava that my thoughts are not like your thoughts. It's above our pay grade. This is beyond our system. You can't explain it anymore. Lemaisa, all these explanations are basically as good as not saying anything at all. So why bother and say anything at all? It's not. If you don't explain, so why bother starting to explain this? Ultimately, you say, what can you do? Because we both understand this, we understand that, and so forth and so on. So Rabbeinu gives a different teretz. Rabbeinu explains something differently. Rabbeinu does not says that these things can be reconciled in the human mind. Fakir, he explains this kasha, this paradox, as something that has to exist as a paradox, because the human choice is dependent on the inability to understand that paradox. He says the minute that we will understand this paradox, there'll be no more free choice. So the explanation for this particular kasha is not that, okay, now it's no longer a kasha. Now it's okay, Baruch is this, we have that, okay, this is how it works. This is not the explanation. The explanation is that it has to remain a kasha, remain a problem, remain a paradox. And so that gives us another understanding regarding what it is that is going to be lost at loving. It says the minute we will understand that paradox, free choice is gone. There'll be no more free choice. Lost at loving is a das that you understand, that one will understand that the good news and the bad news are all good news. As Rabbeinu says, now you cannot deny the chush, you cannot deny, bad news is bad news. It's like but L'osed Lovei will understand that the lack is the good news itself. Not only is the good news is good news, but the bad news we'll understand was also good news. We can't understand it now. Because it has to be, because otherwise we'll have no free choice. That's one of the big mysteries of what is the free choice of tzaddikim. Like the Kotzker Rebbe is said to have told the Chozeh HaKadosh. He told him, your choice is which mitzvah to do. In other words, you have limited amount of time during the day, and so the question is, what should you do? What kind of yichudim would you do? What thing you will give up right now in favor of, like, what's your to-do list? What's your priorities? That's the bechir of the tzaddikim. Because it's very difficult to understand what is the bechir of tzaddikim, because for the tzaddikim there's no such thing as Mila Dechol. It's Kula Kodesh. Everything is Kodesh. The tzaddikim compared to us is a p'chinas makif into the pnimi. A p'china of losid lavoi vis-a-vis our situation over here. It's a big kasha, like, what is the bechira of tzaddikim? Rabbeinu says the bechira of Moshe Rabbeinu was to add another day before Matan Torah. It's not possible. We can explain it, various explanations to what this means, or what, but ultimately, there is no reconciling this. Rabbeinu says that there are tzaddikim that their makif in olam haba. In other words, that madrega that we'll get, this is what we're talking about. In olam haba is smaller and inferior to a or pnimi of a much bigger tzaddik in olam hazeh. Let's go into Likutey Moharan and see the text itself. Rabbeinu says, "V'zeh p'chinas kiddushin." In this inyan of shefa eloki, that mitzvah of sukkah, of makifim that cannot be understood in olam hazeh, and makifim that cannot be understood, that you can understand in olam hazeh, but you still can't understand just yet. He says all this is p'chinas kiddushin, p'chinas chuppah, that canopy that they put over the chassan and kol. Ki hashefa eloki anal, that kind of divine bounty, hanishpa la'odom that comes down to a person by him sanctifying the Shivas Neros, the 7 candles, or P'chinas Kodesh. That's an aspect of Kodesh, as we learn in Siman Gimel, because the word Kiddushin, already alludes to what we say Kodesh. We said over there, it's P'chinas Ruach Chochma Bami Kodesh. Kiddushin means that you are latching on, you're bringing in Ruach Chochma Bami Kodesh. This is the Kiddushin. And the Shefa Eloki is also P'chinas Chuppah. This is a Bechina of the canopy. Because the Chuppah, acts as a Makiv, and it alludes to P'chinas Makifim, to those that intelligence, that Seichel, that is still outside of your faculty, and you're going to bring it in by Kedusha Shivas Neros when it comes to Makifin of Olam Hazeh. And of course, we also have the Makifin of Olam Haba. This already takes Olam Haba. V'zeh Shaul Chametz Zechor Livrocha. That what Chazal said in Baba Basra, that in the future also Kadosh Baruch Hu la'asois l'chol tzaddik v'tzaddik chuppah, according to his covenant, every tzaddik is going to have a chuppah. Every tzaddik is going to have a canopy according to his covenant. What does Moshe according to his covenant? The main thing that we need to understand when we are talking about the covenant here, the covenant of the tzaddikim, is the opposite of the way that we interpret honor, that people in this world run after. As we say in Torah Vav, many times over, and Rabbeinu starts with the thing is anybody who's running after the covenant, he doesn't get covered Eloki. He's covered Malachim. He's got covered, an earthly covered, of a prime minister or a member of Knesset, member of Knesset, or whatever. But somebody who runs away from his own personal kavod, he's zocher to kavod elokim. And this is a very, very important nakuda. Just one second. So the main nakuda that we are saying over here is every single Jew, as Rabbeinu says in Torah Hay, everything is supposed to say, Chayav kol odom loim, that's a Gemara, lo nivra olam ela b'shvili. The only reason why the world was created is b'shvili, is for me. So the basic understanding of the pshat of this, I mean, that you can think, since the world was created for me, everybody owes me. But Rabbeinu says it's the other way around. Rabbeinu says that being that the olam was created for me, I'm supposed to investigate, see what the world is missing, and to fulfill whatever it is that they lack. And to daven for them. In other words, the fact that the world was created for me means something very different. It's not the Olam Hazadik kind of istaklos, it's created for me, and therefore it's like in my pocket, and I can take out of my pocket whatever I want. I can take from this world whatever I want. It's the other way around. It means that me and you and each and every one of us has a unique contribution to give to the world. A tikkun for the entire world. Doesn't matter, I'm big, I'm small, I think I'm big, I think I'm small, it doesn't matter. You are a unique creation of Kodesh Baruch Hu. It says, every single yid is an os b'Torah, is a letter in the Torah. Sefer Torah that is missing one letter is possible. So mitzad echad, this is a tremendous chizuk, right? What do you think? I'm just another guy, just another this. No, I'm an ois. I'm a letter in the Torah. There's a tikkun oilam that can only come through me. On the other hand, there's another aspect to it. It injects the entire issue with special urgency. And that is the mission says in the kol she'eino chas al kovod koinoi, anybody who doesn't have rachmanas, who doesn't have who is not worried about the kovod of his creator, mutav lo shelo ba la'olam, he's better not to have been born at all. The Rambam in the Perish LaMishnayos, I just heard it today, in his Perish LaMishnayos says, what's the pshat shelo chasal kvod koinei? That doesn't have rachmanos in the kovod of the Kodesh Baruch Hu. The Rambam says something wondrous. He says shel eino chasal sichlai, that he doesn't have a rachmanos in his own seichel. We are wasting our seichel. How wasting our seichel? By not being mekadosh shivas haneros, by not learning as much Torah as we can possibly learn. And Rav Nosson says that chidush Torah that the person is supposed to be mekadosh every day could be if you come out with brand new thoughts, or if you're mechadash, to start learning and learn today in with vigor that you never had before. This is also chidush Torah. It's chidush Torah, chidush avodah. And when we don't do this, we are wasting our seichel. We got that letter. They got that letter in the Torah. This is who we are. The way to get it is not necessarily to be, a Talmid Chacham, that, listen, maybe I can't. I can do what I can, and I can't do that which I can. That's it. I mean, I can only bring to the table whatever I can bring to the table. And also, this is not, an objective situation, because there's a state of mind. There's all kinds of perceptions, self perceptions the person have from himself, all kinds of liabilities that I bring in. Self sabotage, whatever it is that I bring, it doesn't matter. But it's all who I am. But the question is over here. The question is, what kind of lack do you bring to the table? Rather, that lack which you have. In other words, that's what you don't have. What are you looking to fill it up with? Are you looking to fill it up with covet from people, appreciation from people, status, or money, or whatever it is? It doesn't matter whether it's Ruchnis or Gashmis. Or as the Baal Shem Tov, Schus Yagen Elenu, said, Yimale Hashem mishalos libecha. Hashem will fulfill the desires of your heart. So Baal Shem Tov explains Yimale Hashem mishalos libecha means that Hashem should fulfill. To fill this world with Hashem, this is mishalos libecha. That's the desire of your heart. Yimale Hashem mishalos libecha. The desire of your heart is that Hashem should be memala. It's okay to lack. In fact, the main covet of a Jew, as we'll see weiter, as Rabbeinu says in Torah Vav, is his cognizance that he is lacking. That is a covet of the key. David HaMelech. The one says that the four kinds of shuffle, of shiflus, of humbleness, of wretchedness. Okay, the four kinds of tzaras, as we'll mention later. And a mitzvah is supposed to go outside. Nobody can be with him. Nobody can spend any time with him. For 7 days, supposed to be totally out. There's nobody lower than him. And the Gemara says, yeah, there is somebody, who's lower than him? David HaMelech. It says, Vani tolaz velo ish. I'm a worm. I'm not even a person. Talk about the king of Israel. V'yas David Shem. David made a Shem. A Shem is a covet. David HaMelech was zeicher to covet Melachim to the point that he is the king of Israel forever. Forever. But his covet is covet Eloki. He by himself, he was totally, the only thing he perceived is what he lacked. That's the busha. That's the dynamis that we perceive the chisaron. In the future, we'll perceive that the chisaron itself is the maila. The fact that we don't have that is the maila. The question is, where are we going? Where from? What is the source? How are we trying to fill that which we lack? If we try to fill it by having our wives or people in our society appreciate us and honor us and give us whatever it is, that this is kavod malachim. We are into a lifetime of disappointments. As they say, expectations are the enablers of disappointments, right? Of grudges and internal suffering, whatever it is. Each one of the 7 candles is an orifice, is an opening. It's a nikve arois. It's the female, it's the receptacle. It's a chaser. As the Gemara says, the ears will never be filled with hearing. It's the ultimate receptacle, the ultimate femaleness. The eye can never be filled with things to see. The nose with smells and the mouth eating or talking. It's endless. These are all chesronis. These are all lacks. But if these lacks are looking to be fulfilled by Shefa Eloki, then La'os Levi will understand that which you have and that which you don't have are equally good, equally atov. And we said La'os Levi Kadosh Baruch Hu was gomer a chuppah for every tzaddik according to his koved, which means according to how much koved Eloki he was able to garner and pull down to this world. V'chol tzadik v'tzadik nichve michupa shel chaveroi. Every tzaddik gets singed from the chuppah of his chaver. And the Gemara says, "Oy loisa busha, oy loisa klima." Woe for that shame, woe for that degradation. It's a busha that tzaddik, but as we understand it, we said already in Torah Vav, that kind of busha, that kind of cherpa, in the das amiti, it's not the kind of singe or burn that we perceive in this world. But it's Rabbeinu says, as nichva means it awakens up, it fires us up. That's the kind of singe that we're talking about. When you look at it the right way. What we mean to say that the chuppah of every tzaddik is b'chinas or makif. And or makif means it surrounds the mental faculties and doesn't go in. As we said in Nosdal, the makif is something that surrounds the mind from outside. And that which that we said that every tzaddik gets singed and burned from the chuppah of his friend. Ki makif shel zeh, the makif of one tzaddik, gadol mi makif shel zeh, is greater than the makif of the other tzaddik. V'asechel shu makif lezeh, and that seichel, which is a b'china of makif, unattainable seichel for one tzaddik, upnimi lezeh. It's bichlal a well understood, totally clear seichel to a tzaddik was much bigger than him. For the bigger tzaddik, that seichel, that the makif for the first tzaddik for him is a seichel pnimi. He totally understands, totally gets it. The other guy is the other guy. The other tzaddik it's beyond his reach. The second tzaddik for him, it's a simple thing. And what happens is that the smaller tzaddik, when he's zoche to bring in to his mental faculties that Ora Makif, it burns him up. In a good way. It ignites him. It sets him running with tremendous islahavas, with tremendous simcha, tremendous, as we say, Shefa Eloki, begets fire in the heart, heat in the heart. But the bigger tzaddik, the seichel by him is b'chlal pnimi. By him, it's not. He doesn't get excited by that. That's what you already know. That it's old news. Old news. By us, it's not. We're not getting that excited on from old news. We already know it. Well, we want new news. We want something new. Because the second tzaddik, the higher tzaddik, now he gets things which are a lot higher. Totally that are makif by him, like the second tzaddik, but the bigger tzaddik. And this is what it means. Called tzaddik nichva, every tzaddik gets burnt, right? Gets fire, gets enthusiasm, gets excitement. That something that by another tzaddik is a simple thing. He already knows it. He knew it. And Rabbeinu says that even more than that as I said before, that there is a tzaddik, as we said, there is a tzaddik in this world that his ora pnimi, that which his mind can contain, the makif, the ora ponim, that his mind can contain, is on a higher level, a higher madrega than ora makif, that which is not yet achieved by a tzaddik in olam, the smaller tzaddik in olam haba. In olam haba, ad kadei kach. From the outside, you can't tell the difference. But from the inside, there's different worlds. And now that we explained that the Shefa Eloki is B'chinas Chuppah, now we understand the 7 days of the Mishnah, of the Shara Brachas, Shachar HaChuppah, that comes after the Chuppah. Hainu B'chinas Shivas Neris, that's 7 candles. This is how, by them, the makif will get in. In other words, the Shefa Eloki comes in the time of the Chuppah. Then it is B'chinas makif. It's or makif. It's already got in the B'chinas makif. Before, it wasn't even a makif. The chosn was a bacher, the kala was a bacher, and they had nothing to do with one another. This Indian of being married was beyond them. When they go through the process of kiddushim out of the chuppah, they take leave of their previous status. He is no longer a bacher, and she is no longer a bacher. She's no longer single. But the full light of what it means to be married, to be a husband, to be a wife, that this is still B'chinas makif. This is still theoretical. This is still something. That's why by Chassan is a tremendous simcha. You don't know what's coming. You don't know the trial and tribulation is going to be. All you know is that you are alone and lonely as a bacher, and you figured, the minute I get married, all my troubles will be over. I'll be fulfilled. And the truth is, that in a chinami. But still, the minute you get married, you get a different set of requirements, a different set of problems that you have to overcome, everything you need to work on. But now you're in a different madrega. Because the very union of being married, of being of kiddushin, this is already inside. This is a pnimi by you. Now you have higher makifin to bring in, and the way that the process that brings in the makif, that comes within reach, during the kiddushin under the chuppah, it takes 7 days. The Sheva Yemei, the Yemei Simcha, Shivas Yemei Mishta, to bring him in. This is Shivas Haneris that turn on the Moyach, to bring the Makifin in. to turn the moach into a receptacle of a light which is beyond the B'chinas Kedem, or upon him. It's no longer Achor. Rabbeinu says that is also B'chinas Shivei Me'avelos Rachmana Litzlan. This is also when somebody has to sit Shiva Lo Aleinu, that people are mourning somebody that passes away. Shenisablim Olam, that they mourn him, Al Shenistat Nishmosim. What they're doing by the Evil is to help his neshama, every single one of the minhagim of this shiva and the shloishim and the year, whatever it is. This is all l'tova of the niftar, because now the niftar, while he was in this world, his mission was to bring down or upon him according to his level in this world. Now, when he passed away, now he's going back to Or upon him. He's going to Or upon him, to the place where the Shefaliki comes from. This is this extremely exalted spiritual level, which is called Or upon him. This is why the Shefaliki is called Panim. Because Or upon him, it comes from Or upon him. And these 7 days that they are sitting Shiva for the Shem Yamamelis is Shiva Saneres that elevate the neshama of the Niftar to the Bechina, the bringing back to the Bechina of Or upon him. In other words, as we said, if you remember, we said about the candles, the 7 candles, that these things that come from both, it's a two-way street. That from one is, the 7 candles are the servants of the Moach, but at the same time they also excite the Moach and the Moach and enable it to receive things that it could not receive until then, into a different mode, being a different Moach. That without the specific, arduous work that have to go into the sanctification of the 7 candles, the Moach will always be B'chinas Achar. It will never be B'chinas Kedem. The artificial intelligence will always remain artificial. Always B'chinas Achar. It will never be B'chinas Kedem. So the same way that the 7 candles can bring down their upon him into the Moach, it also has the koyach to bring up back the neshama to the panim, to the light of the panim. And Rabbeinu says, that this is the union of Lo Aleinu, of Kriya, that and somebody who is mourning has to be misabel. He's supposed to tear his coat. The kriya is gematria shin ein. Shin ein is this 370 lights. Shin ein nehorin. It comes from Or upon him. The thing that we take out of this, from the beginning of what we're talking until now, is that we should not waste our seichel in any bechina. To turn on your receptacle, your antennas, your radar, to accept the transmissions from Or upon him. And this is done when you control what you look at, you control what you say, you control what are you afraid of, you control what you believe. With each one of these incredible senses, you subjugate them to the das. Each one is one of the 7 midas. So when we're saying that the mouth has a das, and the das in the midah, every single midah has a sphere sadas in it. And we said there's also a supernal das that controls them all. And the only way you can get to that das, which is Shefa Eloki, is by subjugating this specific midah to the das that exists in its place. Like the mouth. The mouth has all 10 spheres. It has the das. The das in the mouth is, do not say a lie. This is the mouth you speak to Kodesh Baruch Hu with. Rav Shimon Bar Yochai says that a person should have two mouths. One of them to speak to Kodesh Baruch Hu, and one of them, to speak Divrei Chol. And I go, okay, so that's not the way Kodesh Baruch Hu wanted it. Kodesh Baruch Hu wanted us to work on the same mouth. On the same mouth. The nose of B'chinas Yira. The nose of B'chinas Yira is what are you afraid of? Because ultimately you choose what to be afraid of. If you're afraid of Kodesh Baruch Hu, you won't be afraid of other things. Commensurate with how much not afraid you are of Kodesh Baruch Hu, this is how much afraid you are of things in this world. The same thing is with the ears of Amunas Chachamim. Believe what the Chachamim say. And be ready to receive the rebuke from them. Because that rebuke that they're giving you is the biggest favor they're doing with you. You can also say, did you hear what he spoke about me? Did you hear what he said about me? Can't believe this. That's the hepechadas of the ears. The eyes, an artist is supposed to see everything, is supposed to enjoy everything, supposed to experience everything. The das and the enaim is somebody who, you shut your eyes from seeing bad. It's only when you subjugate each and every one of these candles, of these neres, to the B'chinas das, the B'chinas seichel amit, of what is the ultimate way to utilize that organ, that you turn them from mere tools to switches that switch the moyach, that flip the moyach, the whole paradigm of the moyach, from Seir B'chinas Ocher to Seir B'chinas Kedem. So we learned that also Lavoi, both the have and the have-nots, that which I have and that which I don't have, are actually kula tov v'meitiv. That searing busha of look at me, that's the way I should behave. That's the way I should be spending my life. Am I serious? This busha is the greatest cover there is. Because it's cover the Eloki, it's not my cover. This is how you bring in the cover the Eloki. That's a B'china of Moshe Rabbeinu, Aish Moshe Onov Me'od, and so forth and so on. B'ezrat Hashem, there's a lot to daven about. There's a lot to come to Kodesh Baruch Hu and ask Him and realize it's very, very important, because when we realize that which we are lacking, when we realize that which we don't have, that which we look at me, what am I? What am I bringing to the table? I mean, it's ridiculous. The answer is no, it's not ridiculous. The fact that I feel it's ridiculous, that's my claim to fame. With this, I'm being the kind, all the Judah that can possibly be, is by feeling how short I am from the goal. The main reason why we should speak about this and talk about this and understand this principle is not to let us bring us down, not to let us, put us in a state that what good am I anyhow? Chas v'chalila, chas v'chalila. That lack, the fact that you realize that you lack, is your wealth. That is your wealth. This is what you have to bring to the table. But still, you got to do something with it. Daven as much as you can. Learn as much as you can. This is how you are fixing the world. This is how you are bringing the Shefa Elokit in this world. Hashem should help us, Bezrat Hashem. We will continue, Mirz Hashem, next week, Thursday. And Bezrat Hashem, we'll see everybody on Motzei Shabbos. And when we're learning Sichas Haran. So, I'm going to just turn this off.